and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Padmaja Joshi, and on this special broadcast, what a time it is that we are in right now. Internationally, equations are being rethought, some friendships are being reconsidered, and perhaps some new relationships are being forged. As we speak, the great reset is taking place between India and China, and one of the major confidence-building measures in that direction was the resumption of the Kailash Yatra after 5 years. What does this mean for India, the world, and for the bigger picture? Joining us now is Sadhguru, who in fact is just kilometers away from Kailash Mansarovar. He is on the Kailash Yatra. Why, Sadhguru? Why? Why did you decide to do this yatra?
Well, I've been doing this for last… this is the 18th year I'm here, and even during this 5 years of blockage, we have been coming to a certain part of Nepal, which is just 7 kilometers from Manasarovar, and from there we have darshan, and it's been going very well. But last year I didn't do because I broke my head and I couldn't make it last year. But here we are, and this, as you said, this reset is wonderful because geographically congruent nations must come together. We need to understand this. Faraway nations, we make friendships, and people who are really our neighbors, we're not able to do this, but I think that reset is beginning to happen. Hope that wisdom dawns on everybody on all sides, and we're able to function geographically as one unit, though politically and otherwise we are separate. So definitely this opening up of this Kailash Yatra is definitely a confidence-building measure. It gives more trust and ease to the governments and to the people. It's wonderful to be here, and we have we have probably about 8 groups traveling at different times. I'm meeting all of them on the way. One group is traveling with me. I'm on the motorcycle, and this is the first time I'm on motorcycle to Kailash.
And didn't you have 2 surgeries last year from what I remember, and you've decided to motorcycle it all the way through Nepal to Kailash? How's it been so far?
It's been great. Yes, I had 2 surgeries, but this is the whole thing that in some way, this is also a way to demonstrate the power of yoga, what it can do. Yoga is not just about twisting and turning. This is not about closing your eyes and putting your eyeballs here and there. It's not about that. It's about taking charge of the fundamentals of your life, what makes our life happen, what makes us tick from within, taking charge of that. So just now I had a conversation, because I didn't tell my doctors I'm going because they would say no. So just now, a few minutes ago, I had a conversation with him just like this, and he said, it's incredible, nobody ever does this after 2 surgeries. They will be so careful, but you're doing this. Don't just have a fall, that's all. So I promised him I won't have a fall because when the surgery happened, I went and banged myself again into something very hard, and I had to go for a second surgery, which was an emergency surgery again. So we set up a mantra, no jerks, no bumps, no fall. I'm still going by that mantra, not falling, not bumping.
Great. So you are actually a living example of what yoga can achieve beyond the traditional ideas of wellness and staying fit. But I want to focus in detail about this reset that you spoke of. You've frequently spoken, Sadhguru, of India asserting itself as a civilization. Now we are looking at enhanced ties with China, another very powerful civilization. Do you think it is possible for 2 such powerful countries who have competing claims, who have competing ambitions, to coexist peacefully and maybe also become friendlier than we have in the past?
See, that question or that idea is fundamentally flawed in the sense, see, in a society, in Delhi society, do you have a very rich person, an industrialist or a businessman having party with a juggi person? No, juggi people have parties among themselves, rich people have parties among themselves because it's easier to relate to people who are reasonably at your own level, and it's easier to share things at that level. So 2 great civilizations, it's easier to come together rather than trying to make friendship with somebody and relate to somebody who's not at the same level. Well, China has gone well ahead in terms of technology and economy and everything, but India is on an upsurge and India has many advantages which China does not have, and China has different kind of advantages. But I think we should go on our strengths and build this relationship. It's not just with China, this is about Asia, this is about geographically congruent land. See, these borders and these political differences are our making. But trade and relationships always happened when we were geographically connected, that's the best way to do it. So we have always been connected and we are not going to be disconnected any time, ever. So it's best these relationships develop like this, China, Central Asia, the Southeast Asia, Russia, everything should come together. It's very, very important. And culturally there is a certain affinity which we should ride on, it's very, very important. And the differences are not a problem. Differences need not be made into discriminations, that is something we have to learn. Our differences in racial differences, ethnic differences, language differences, whatever else, other cultural issues are there, these differences we must learn to enjoy, not make it into a discriminatory process.
If there's one person I know who can safely be called a global citizen, it's you, Sadhguru. You have traveled across America, several continents. How do you see India right now, the way things are poised across the world? We have this entire trade issue, the tariff issue, countries trying to exert pressure on us. Where do you see India going from here?
See, I feel when challenges are thrown at us, it is the time to rise. When there are no challenges, people tend to, become little bit of couch potatoes. This is a time for every citizen in India to stand up, for the state governments and the central government to really perk up and be on their toes and make this happen, because we have the potential. Between the potential and reality, there is always a distance. We must have the courage and the commitment to walk that distance. About the trade stuff and all, yes, it is going to be a little more than painful, but it is not the end-all for India. India has various opportunities, and above all, those realities also may change because the negotiations are going on right now in Washington about settling the Ukraine issue. If the Ukraine issue is settled, Russian issue is settled, then all these things are settled also. But we shouldn't just fall back into the complacency of just trying to be friends with one power or the other. We must build multilateral relationships, which is what India has been doing. I think we should go more aggressively towards that. Not depending on any one nation for our well-being is a very, very important thing. I think that wisdom is definitely there in our government and we will go that way. But there is some amount of pain. There is no gain without pain, what to do?
Well, I think by undergoing this yatra, you have exemplified how there is no gain without pain. But, so far we've seen the conventional wisdom of allying with one bloc or the other. Do you think now there is a real opportunity of India becoming a linchpin instead of becoming part of a group?
See, we've taken that position right from the NAM times. I'm saying, non-alignment movement. We were part of it. We never aligned with any of the Cold War parties, either side. We were a separate entity. For that we paid a price. We became kind of friendless. We didn't have any support from anybody. So we have suffered that. So non-alignment per se is not the way forward. About becoming a linchpin, if you want to become a linchpin, you have to… people should see that the linchpin is strong enough for them to hang on to. So that strength we have to grow. I think we are not yet there. In the next 3 to 5 years, we have to grow that strength to be able to be a linchpin.
But when you speak of strength, why is it that we still do not have that kind of solidity for people to be able to trust us? Is it because of the situation that we have within our borders? What I'm coming to is, I just saw what you said on Independence Day. You have always, when you've undertaken yatras, spoken of how we must stay one as a country. Periodically, we've had issues which have cropped up, whether it be the language divide, whether it be the caste issue, and now within India, now we have an actual possibility of an uprising, people being told that your very democratic institutions are suspect, that they must be challenged on the streets. Do you think that that poses a threat to India emerging as a strong country and to India's unity and integrity itself?
I don't see it that way. These are all rhetorics that happen when there is an election close by. And this is the reason way back almost 20 years ago, I pushed for this idea that there must be one election only once in 5 years. I think the government is moving in that direction. I think they passed some kind of a thing in the parliament. So, because there are elections all the time, election time is a time when democratic leaders and people speak things which we shouldn't take seriously. I don't think that's a threat for the country. There is a certain fabric of India which cannot be torn just like that. It's only the border areas we need to take care, the infiltration and demographic changes that are happening must be attended to. It is not something that can be done in a cruel manner, nor can it be done with kid gloves. It needs to be addressed firmly. If we don't do that, then those parts of the country could be in some kind of turmoil. But otherwise, India as a fabric, I don't think it's a threat. These rhetorics that go on once in a way, whenever there's election, see other time nobody's talking. Only when the election is close by, they're talking all these things. That should not be a concern. But the important thing is, we need at least 10 to 15 states really doing well, which is right now not happening. Probably we just have 3 or 4 states doing well. If we have about 15 states really booming in economy, then the nation will really move forward. Economically, we are not that kind of strength right now that, we can call ourselves a linchpin, not even for the region. Beginning to happen, but not yet. For the world, we have an advantage that geographically we're in a strategically sensitive and important location. We must leverage that to the best… in the best possible way. And I'm sure that thought process is very much there in the government.
Sadhguru, you say that this is rhetoric, but is that the feeling in the larger populace? Because for the last 6 months, we've heard this drumbeat of how it's not just a party or the government which is trying to subvert democracy, it is all the institutions itself. When you start questioning the very process of electing the government of our country or in our states, then doesn't public trust get eroded? Then you start questioning the very basis on which your country elects its government.
Well, that's the idea, to erode the confidence that people have. So, one simple thing is, I don't understand why either the Election Commission or the Supreme Court doesn't take a stand on this. If somebody has proof that there is serious manipulations, it must be dealt with for sure. Whoever it is, it must be dealt with. If it is not, people must leave that rhetoric. I think for various things, Supreme Court steps in and Election Commission should seek that, I believe. I don't know if that is the process, if legal process or the law, how it interprets itself, I do not know. But I am saying the highest authority in the country, which is supposed to be for judicial matters, Supreme Court, they must clearly say that either this is true or not true, finished.
And the matter is in court.
But I think…
as somebody who's interacting with people across the board, across the country, you still trust Indian democracy and its institutions. You're saying that the larger feeling is that we're still safe, the democracy and the constitution is still safe.
See, what I see is, no democracy in the world is perfect. It cannot be in the very nature of things, because so many millions of people are involved, here billion people are involved. But compared to various other nations, I would say our democracy is functioning way better than most Western nations, I will tell you this. With great confidence I'll tell you this, because I've been looking at how they operate. Compared to that, our democracy is operating very well, and it is probably one of the best functioning democracies. Well, there are lapses because 1 billion people here and there something will happen. Is it at a scale that we should be worried about? I don't think so. And the manipulations were quite big in certain constituencies. I've physically, with my eyes, I've seen when the ballot papers were there, how they were being taken away and replaced with something else. These things were being done. But today's electronic machines, the chances are very low. Maybe somebody has found a way to do some little bit of nonsense, but that is not a concern to a point of sabotaging the democratic process. No, I don't think so.
Another test of the democratic process is going to be, of course, the president, vice president elections. We are going to see that happening at the beginning of
We are
next
glad
month.
he's from Coimbatore now.
That is correct. I was about to say that you have a very deep connection to perhaps not just the candidate who has been announced by the NDA, but perhaps also what the opposition alliance is going to announce. So Tamil Nadu in the news again, and specifically Coimbatore. What do you make of that?
C.P. Radhakrishna, we know him well, and he's a veteran politician and been committed to whatever he is committed to without changing sides, without flip-flopping. He's been there steadily. So, he's been the governor of 2 or 3 different states, particularly being in Maharashtra. It is an important governorship because it has some special clauses as a governor. Having operated at that level, I think he would make a good vice president. I'm here, but I've met him many times, and he's a very a decent and a wonderful human being as a person, and his family and everybody, we know them. So, we are glad. Congratulations to him.
But there's a certain amount of discomfort that somebody who's been from the Jan Sangh, who has been a committed worker of the RSS, should they be in the office of the vice president?
See, how would you be in politics if you are not part of some party? You always are part of some party. Otherwise, if you suddenly drop from somewhere, there is some problem, you're somebody's son or daughter or something, that's a different matter. But otherwise, everybody has to be some party, they have to be common workers who raised. So whether if it is Jan Sangh or RSS or whatever he worked in, I don't see what is the problem, because these are legal organizations. People may have their opinions, but these are legal organizations, proper registered organizations. I don't think there should be any problem about that. Suppose you're a member of the Rotary Club, does it mean to say you can't become a vice president? So similarly, RSS, what's the big deal?
All right, so B. Sudarshan Reddy, former Supreme Court judge versus Mr. C.P. Radhakrishnan. That's what the fight for the vice president's post is set up as. It's going to be, like I said, another test of democracy. Let's hope nobody is going to be questioning that. But what is the larger message that you want to send from the Kailash Yatra to India and Indians who are watching you right now? Because again, like we said right at the beginning, and we've come, we circle back to that point, it's a very important juncture we stand at. We've just celebrated our 79th Independence Day, Sadhguru, and many people are wondering if it's going to be upwards for India, whether it is going to be bullied into submission by so-called world powers, or it is going to emerge as a country, as a democracy in its own right. What would you like to say to people watching?
I think we have risen beyond that point where we can be bullied into doing things which are against national well-being. We won't do that. We have enough strength to withstand that. About India, China, Russia, I think it's very important these nations hold hands. We already have BRICS. This Kailash Yatra opening is just one small measure, but it brings enormous amount of goodwill, because the amount of change that's happened in Tibet in the last 5 years is unimaginable. That kind of change and development is happening here. It's very important that we connect. I would say we should build roads and railways and pipelines right across, right up to Moscow, and if necessary even to the European capitals. That's how we should look at India, because right now we must understand this: what was once a subcontinent, through this dastardly and I don't know what to say about the partition and the tragic partition that we did, we turned the country into an island. Today, any trade you have to do has to come through the sea. Our oil is coming through the sea, which is in millions of barrels per year. Everything is through the sea. The only thing that saved us is we became an information technology nation. So that started flying just by itself without a ship or a vessel, ocean-faring vessel. That is the only thing that saved us. Otherwise, everything has to come. No island nation ever becomes a great power. That is 100%. So we turned ourselves from being a trading nation for thousands of years. What was a subcontinent, we made it into an island, which was the most unwise thing we have done as a civilization. But those borders, unfortunately the way they are, I don't know what we can do about them right now. But building a good relationship means we have to… See, we have to understand this. There is 1962, which is a painful wound in the Indian psyche, and there has been Galwan recently, that is also a painful thing. But we must look at this beyond that. I know there are emotions, I know we've lost men, at that time over 62,000 men, this time around 20 plus, whatever. But if we keep being suspicious and we keep a certain level of acrimony, only more lives will be lost. If we should not take satisfaction in we lost 20, they lost 40, that is not a satisfaction for me. It doesn't do any good to us or to them. They are also people, we are also people. They also want to grow, prosper and live well, we also want to grow, prosper and live well. So when this is the case, business is the best way to connect. Of course, they are in a little dominant position, so they will dominate a few situations, but we must grow as quickly as possible to be capable and building connectivity, making investments. They make investments in our country, we make investments in their country. This is the best way to do things, because if my investment is in another country, I'm not going to go and bomb it, nor will they come and bomb their investments. So it's very, very important. The geographical borders we have drawn are human errors that we have made on this planet. So these lines that we have drawn are still necessary, we can't remove them. We don't have to draw them in our minds and hearts and think they are hard and fast. They are not hard and fast. They are there. We have to manage them. They can be slowly made more porous and people can move easily, trade can happen, business can happen, land trade should happen, this is very important. As I said, highways, railways, pipelines should go through China to Central Asia, and because this side is blocked up for us right now, you can go this way, it's a longer route, but you can go right up to Moscow and into Germany if you want.
Okay, interesting
We,
roadmap
we
there.
should think of that, if not right now, in the next 25 years, we must have proper access. If we don't do this, living in acrimony, living in fear, not trusting each other, it's an endless process. In the business, they'll get better of us. Why? We should be smart enough. If we are not smart enough, somebody will get better. What to do?
And there are plenty of people waiting in the wings to lap up that opportunity. Interesting thought and interesting roadmap. Thanks very much as always, Sadhguru. No permanent enemies, but only permanent interests, that of having India's interests in mind. Thank you very much, Sadhguru, and very best of luck.
Thank you. Namaskaram, Padmaja. Thank you very much.